Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to the Economic Times Digital Roundtable, Power of Active Intelligence, Transcending Collaboration Beyond the Last Mile, powered by Click. Information is the oil of the 21st century, and analytics is the combustion engine, said Peter Sondergaard. Companies, to, companies looking to breach the veil of uncertainty and weaving resilience into their DNA for future shocks are focusing on gathering more data to unlock new revenue options. This data has enormous potential for helping a firm thrive and for assisting executives in making real-time decisions. However, this can only happen if this data is used to its full potential in order to generate useful insights. And business intelligence can prove to be more useful in these tumultuous times if it is relayed in a real-time manner. Active intelligence seems to be the answer. It provides analytics-ready data along with the most updated information in real time. With an amalgamation of the data at rest and data in motion, it represents the pulse of the data, providing business insights and creating an intelligent data to analytics pipeline. Businesses can prepare themselves for unexpected situations in future by using active intelligence, as it can help in anticipating the upcoming trends. It provides more detailed insights thanks to AI-powered analytics. Active intelligence also represents the business movement by adding business logic to analytics-ready data, transforming it into business-ready data and enabling collaboration among all data personas. To set the context of this significant roundtable, it is my pleasure to welcome today's keynote speaker, Tan Chin Kwan, better known as CK, who is the Senior Director Solutions and Value Engineering at Click. His team focuses on business value consulting and advises top strategic clients in Asia Pacific to create strategic, well-aligned data and analytic solutions. As a design thinking practitioner, he often incorporates human-centered design to help organizations transform their business by adopting data-first culture and sustainable data-driven practices. He brings to his role over 15 years of progressive experience in consulting, product marketing, and industry sales within the analytics and technology space. Over to you, CK.
Thanks, Rakishori. Just gonna share my screen here. And I hope everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning, Purnima. So I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Great pleasure to be here today to discuss on the topic of active intelligence. I guess we can all agree this has been a very disruptive 18 months for all of us, both personally as well as the way we conduct our business. Well, I think we all agree that we have reduced the face-to-face interaction. I think pandemic has definitely made a great use of digital platform, like we are all today gathering from all three corners of the world. Now, also, I think where we see is there's this whole opportunities, right, for organization, like the data group of companies to continue to innovate and provide even more innovative product and services within India as well as worldwide. Now, having a culture of innovations allows organization to respond quickly to challenges, and data itself, right, provides invaluable opportunities for companies to innovate. However, I think to do this, you need to arm first your people and also your system with up-to-date real-time information. And Click, we believe the answer to achieving this holy grail is active intelligence. Now, to give you a better idea of what I mean, by active intelligence, I'll run through a couple of slides and then, we're going to a discussion moderated by Purnima. Now, I think, as I said, it's been more than half, a year and a half. Our regions, continues to deal with the disruptions and new changes. But I think most of you will agree with me, right? During this period of time, right, we have cultivated a culture of innovation, and this is what is becoming a must for all businesses to really move from defensive to offensive mode in the market, as we want to come up more resilience financially as well as expanding out the market share. But again, the questions from some of you might be asking, why does innovation matter? Shouldn't we, play it safe, minimize risk during this period? Doesn't it make more sense? Should we invest in technology, or should we make more sense to conserve resources and cut down investment? Well, I think innovative organization turns out that they are expected to cover faster from the pandemic. According to a recent survey by IDC, almost half of the leaders interviewed there in the APAC region believe they will recover from the pandemic in 6 months or less. And in fact, 50% of these leaders, compared with the rest that was interviewed, expect an increase in revenue, and 1 in 3 is expected to increase their market share. Again, this is a real golden opportunity for the big brands and the companies to come out stronger. And some of this static could be adapting the core of your business, identifying and addressing new opportunity areas created by the changing landscape and regulation. And this is also a good opportunity to reevaluate the innovation initiative portfolio of the company and ensure that resources are allocated appropriately. Again, this is about setting out the foundation for the post-crisis growth. Now, in order to achieve this culture innovation, I kind of wanted to refer to a study, or rather to a methodology that was a concept that was developed by Professor Michael Witt from the IMD organization. So he says, companies that possess this digital business agility responds quicker and more effective to emerging threats to their business. And at the same time, they will be able to seize new market opportunity before their rivals even notice it. I think some of the example that we always see in the industry is, how we compare Fujifilm versus Kodak, right, in the same digital camera environment. Now, it's really one being very defensive and one being offensive, which is really around Fujifilm. Now, what's the 3 pillars to this? Is first is about hyper awareness. It's really about the ability to track and monitor changes in the business environment, right? Hyper aware company are less likely to be taken by surprise because you have all the information about yourself, the market, and the competitor. And you can sense their vulnerabilities, right? Because then you can adjust your models quickly, right? And an example is, you can quickly understand. Now I'll point out, for example, Ashish and Tata Communication, right? You serve a lot of customers. You'll be able to understand why the customers are dissatisfied, and understand why, right? The products are delivered through the current value chain. And similarly, for Tata AIG and as well as TCS, right? When you become aware of your competitive landscape, then you understand the strengths and weaknesses of the traditional rivals that they have. But more importantly, the potentials or the impacts of the new line of business. Of course, we see a whole new line of business coming out for the non-insurance company saying, I start to bring dynamic insurance. And Subhashis, I think from TCS standpoint, there's a lot of a boutique consulting coming out, right? So again, it's really about being able to react with this information. Now, the most important piece, I think everyone would agree, is really the ability to carry out these plans quickly and effectively. You need to be informed at every single step, right? At the speed of data, right? And this is our topic today because I think we are so used to data that is as of yesterday on a monthly basis, weekly basis. Now, business want to move at the speed of data when it comes in. It could be transactional data that comes in. It could be CDR information they're receiving. It could be core details information. You want to react to this, right? And this is where data comes into play again, right? At the centerpiece of all of this. Now, the emerging of all these new use cases, not just necessary analytics, but could be machine learning. Also, some of the downstream use cases that you'll be making use of data to serve your customer better, to work better with your supplier. All this represent a shift the way we do analytics and deal with data, right? I suspect, this may look very familiar with some of you, right? You remember, Gartner had this diagram that talks about the shift from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive and prescriptive. In fact, many organizations still uses that as a maturity model. Where I click, we favor a different view here. As you can see, we focus on the way we do analytics and the type of data that enable us to do the different types of analytics or apply it to the new use cases. Again, it could be machine learning as well, not necessarily just report and dashboarding. And this is where we see active intelligence providing the true value, not replacing what went before, but embracing, right? And building on that. Now, the ability to apply, different analytics practices to increasing real-time data. And I say real-time data, maybe a discussion, what exactly is real-time data, but in my own sense, it's really about the speed of data that's coming in, right? Business needs to have that information. And add on to that, it must be governed, it must be trusted, and encompass, most importantly, the business logic, right? They drive more value in just asking what we do. So put that a little bit in context again. The promise of active intelligence, like kind of sharing in the previous slide, is to allow the business, right, to tap on the pulse of the business, right, at any point of time, at the strategy time when you execute it, during the executions, and even after that, you want to be able to analyze this information. Again, where ourselves at Click, over a decade ago, we help organizations to move from passive, from stacked BI solutions to reactive. Now we are on the journey to be your partner to move from reactive to augmented, and eventually that's where we are looking to is active intelligence. Now, this is our vision, right? So over the last 5 years, you can see that we have grown organically, right? Introducing more connective capabilities into our associative engine, but also we also start to acquire companies with new capabilities, particularly on the data integration side. And this is where we believe to truly activate active intelligence, we must be able to close the gap that results in information silos, right? Ultimately, from this picture, you can see there's really 3 parts to it. First is really delivering the components, right, to deliver data, right, to replicate the data from your source system, be it mainframes, be it a SAP system, SaaS platforms, files into a target system. And many of us many of our customers is actually adopting cloud, and cloud data warehouses seems to be the next generation of data lake. Again, we want to be helping our customers to move the data there in the most efficient and most reliable way to doing so. And on top of that, this is where the analytics piece comes in, right? Now, the data, we also want the analytics piece, gone are the days that, users are, looking at dashboards. Today, when I speak to my users, they say, CK, I want the dashboard to tell me exactly what we need to be doing, telling me insights that we're not gone. And this is where we felt that the combination of AI with data coming in, and this is the approach that we call augmented intelligence, right? Ability to help the users using technology, right, to discover more insights within the data. Last but not least is really around the data literacy. We believe that data literacy is similar to linguistic skills, right? You need to learn it in this new world, right? You need to be able to read the charts and the visualization and able to interpret and get an insights of that. I don't want to keep this presentation too long. I'll hold it at this here, and love to hear your views as well. And looking forward to the exchange that Purnima is going to host here. Back to you, Purnima.
Thank you, CK, for such an enriching session. For today's roundtable, we have a stellar lineup of seasoned experts who will deliberate upon unleashing the power of active intelligence to address today's data-driven demands. They'll shed light on how active intelligence enables businesses to not only outperform the competition, but also to adapt and respond quickly to changing situations. They will touch upon topics like the status of active intelligence adoption, how to tackle business problems using active intelligence, how data pipelines enable quick decisions, and business outcomes that active intelligence may help you accomplish. For the Economic Times Digital Roundtable, Power of Active Intelligence, Transcending Collaboration Beyond the Last Mile, powered by Click, I'm delighted to welcome today's panel moderator, Purnima Ramaswamy, Executive Vice President, Global Solutions and Partners at Click. Purnima leads a multidisciplinary team that blends alliances, channel strategy, consulting, and education services, as well as value engineering. Her team designs and executes transformational strategies for large enterprise customers to maximize the value of their overall investments in Click's data integration and analytics platforms. Purnima joined Click from Cognizant and has more than 20 years of experience across a variety of industries. Over to you, Purnima.
Thanks, Raiko Shuri. I'm very happy to host this panel and very excited to hear from Subhashish, Ashish, and Pankaj about their data and analytics journey and where they see the role of analytics and data in their organizations transforming their industries over the next few years. As CK mentioned, the world has actually changed. It's rapidly changed more than what any one of us expected over the last 18 to 24 months. It's been very interesting to watch how organizations have adapted and adopted to the new ways of working, to the new ways of transacting, to the new ways of commerce. And that's actually helped the momentum, not only from a digital perspective, but more importantly, from a perspective of adoption of data and analytics within every part of the business and putting it in every person's hands within an organization itself. And the Tata Group is well known for adopting new technologies and being at the forefront of it and leading various industries. So very happy to welcome Subhashish Mazumdar from TCS, Ashish Goyal from Tata Communications, and Pankaj Agarwal from Tata AIG for this discussion and to hear from them. With that, I'm going to introduce each of the panelists and more importantly, request the panelists to introduce themselves. We'll start with Subhashish Mazumdar. He's a good friend and a customer as well. Subhashish is at TCS. He joined TCS internal IT team Ultimatics in August 2005. And out of personal discussions, I am aware about how TCS has adopted data really rapidly over the last 18 to 24 months. They are, of course, always at the forefront of leveraging new technologies, and Subhashish has been at the helm of leading this change and charge. Subhashish, if you could introduce yourself a little bit, please.
Yeah, good afternoon and good morning, everybody. So I'm Subhashish Majumdar. I'm based out of Kolkata. So I joined TCS in the year 1995, right? And I graduated or I completed my master's in 1992, and then I was with another company for 2-3 years, and then from 1995 till I'm in TCS. So you can say that I'm a very hardcore, Tata person over here. For the first few years, right, I worked in different assignments. Right, I was in UK for some time. I was in Malaysia doing the digitization of the Malaysian railways, ticketing and reservations, and train operations and management system. Then I was in US, Seattle, and then Richmond. I was working with GE Capitals, doing their some kind of the mutual fund business, helping them digitization that part of these GE Capitals over there. I have worked in some product for TCS. That was a very popular accounting package. I managed that for quite some time. Then I worked as a technical architect for one of the very very prominent utilities company in UK, which is United Utilities. I was there for almost 1.5 years, and then I joined Ultimatics, as you correctly mentioned, Purnima, that in the year 2005, in the month of August, right? So if you look back, or if I look back, so in the year 2005, TCS was a very small, not small company, but compared to today's state, it was a very small one at that point in time, right? So overall, our digitization aspect, because if we look back over the period of years, that many things have changed, right? So there are many regulations. We have increased our footsteps in different countries. Now we are operational in more than 50 countries in the world. And as we are working in different part of the world, in different countries, so we have to take care of many things over there, the local rules and regulations over there. We have to take care of the overall privacy policy of the different kind of data. We have to take care of the many other things, right? The employee engagement, development of all the talents we are having over here, and to support our sales to revenue that particular value chain, right? So during this my course of activities in Ultimatics, almost for the last 16 years, I have developed many products. Our HR management systems, our revenue recognition systems, our time management systems, our delivery systems, our knowledge management platform, many other particular platform. I was completely involved, and I have been doing all these activities for so many years now. Right now, I am based out of Kolkata. I manage 4 major towers of Ultimatics: delivery, time management, and global overtime, our knowledge management part, and our analytics platform. Right, I'm managing a team of more than 500 people over here. And I am very fortunate that I have been given the responsibility to build our complete analytics platform, and you can well understand for a big organization like TCS. In one side, it is very challenging, it is very interesting, and on the other side, it is very difficult as well, right? Because as all of us are telling, that data is the most important part, and that is the fuel of 2021. So if I have been given the responsibility to manage that data, and where in an organization like TCS, where there are more than 400 applications for different, to manage different kind of activities, right? So get the data from, from so many applications over there, keep it in a particular platform in a specific, in our enterprise data warehouse. So that is a bit challenging, but we are doing it, very efficiently with the, with the active guidance, support from our top management, with the, active sponsorship. So we are doing it quite well now. We are in a quite mature state at this stage. So that is what it is going on.
Awesome.
What you do?
Thanks, Subhashish. Thanks for your partnership. I'd like to now invite Ashish Goyal from Tata Communications to introduce himself. And Ashish is a senior technology leader at Tata Communications. And as everyone knows, communications and collaboration became the most important thing when the pandemic hit us. So, Ashish, I'm pretty sure you must have been extremely busy over the last 18 to 24 months, just making sure that not only your organization, but the world over, that the customers that your organization serves also are up and running and see minimum disruption. And I'm pretty sure data played a key role in it. Ashish? You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So thanks, Purnima, for the brief introduction. And as you rightly said, last 1.5 years have been, it's quite disruptive, right? So everybody knows about that. And I just joined when this disruption started. So I joined Tatacom in March 2020. So that was the day I was supposed to, join the office. And that was the day we declared a lockdown in India. So I have not gone to office even for a single day. So, so I have seen the disruption in the organization right from the day I joined. So to just for my background, so I have around more than 20 years of experience. Before Tatacom, I worked only in asset management, financial services in capital markets industry. So I have mostly worked for investment banking clients in their data, not on the analytics side, I would say, but mostly on the data management side. And this included some of the companies, like Fidelity Investments, and I was in Cognizant for about 4 to 5 years also, and where I worked in Belgium for a client called Euroclear. And then prior to that, I worked for some of the other capital markets client in the US, mostly on the data management side. And I've always seen right from the beginning that data management has been a big challenge, in every, from every perspective. Mostly when you look at the capital markets industry, they have large legacy platforms. The processes have been extremely complex, and really nobody really understands how the data is stored, how it is managed, and if there is any technology change, how that incorporation of a change itself takes a long time. So it has been an enriching experience, and post that I joined Tata Communications to lead their digital transformation journey. So in Tatacom, in the last 1.5 years, the pandemic has brought about tremendous changes. So there is a huge demand for network services, right? So the pandemic has accelerated that demand, and that has put in a lot of pressure on the organization to serve customers. So our business has rapidly grown, is how I will put it. And alongside, because of that rapid growth, the customer demands have also increased many folds, and that has resulted in us, being to some extent being pushed into the direction of being forced to adopt those modern technologies which will enable us to give the kind of customer experience that our customers are expecting from the last 1.5 years or so. So there is a huge, we are a cloud service provider company. We are a digital infrastructure provider services company. We offer network services to businesses and enterprises, and there is a huge demand. And because of that, the volume of data that we process has increased. Now, so when I joined, basically, I am heading the data platforms, enterprise data platforms, and these data platforms are primarily driving the large digital transformation program that the company is currently underway. So what we are trying to do is essentially we are trying to look at all the lead to order and order to cash processes across a telecom organization and putting all those legacy processes onto a digital platform. And while we are doing that digital transformation, creating that platform, because it's a multi-year program, the data becomes suddenly extremely critical in order to make it successful. Right. So because, data plays a key role in terms of, ensuring that the digital platform processes run as they are expected. So our data maturity journey almost started almost 5 years back, is how I will put it. So initially there were multiple data silos across the organization. Departments would create their own analytics. They would manage their own data sets, and so there was a lot of inconsistency in how the data was managed, how it was reported, and that led to various reconciliation issues. So before moving on to a digital transformation journey, there was a lot of focus from our side in terms of building processes for managing data itself, building processes for data quality management, and building processes for data governance, right? So it is important that data, you talked about data integration, right, as one of the key pillars, right, along with analytics as well as data literacy. So our first focus was on data integration in order to ensure that, we create those enterprise platforms where we can create, where we avoid those multiple copies of data across the company. We have a single golden copy record of critical data elements. So if you talk of master data, for example, customer information, or if you talk of network inventory, there should not be multiple copies across the organization. And building all of those enterprise platform was a huge endeavor for us. And unless you do that, you really cannot do meaningful analytics over that, right? You cannot have multiple copies of data. So you first need to build processes where you measure the quality of data. And we implemented several platforms for data quality measurement. We created frameworks for data governance. We created frameworks for data ownership, and put in all the processes to first manage data in our enterprise platform. So we move from those departmental silos to more of enterprise level analytics, where at an enterprise level you can generate strategic insights. So you have a single copy of data, and then you basically create those strategic or reports, cross-functional reports, that can give you an organization level view. So that is where we were, about, I would say, in the middle of last year. And then uh, the third level of maturity where we wanted to reach was being able to link those strategic level KPIs to our operational KPIs. So there has to be a linkage in terms of the strategic analytics to operational analytics, and that's where we started investing in a lot of tools. We looked at various platforms. We looked at Click as one of the major platforms, one of our key platforms to drive our digital transformation agenda. And because we wanted to consolidate all our tools, all our analytics across multiple operational processes, etc. And we are on that journey, and we are towards the next level, where I would say, in couple of months, we are looking at more things like enabling a complete self-service culture across the organization, being able to use external data sets, right? So while we are using mostly internal data for our analytics, Tata Communications operates in an environment where we have multiple suppliers, where we have multiple entities we deal with, and the ability to put all of that data together, right? So creating a framework for external data management, and then using those data sets, like what we call as pestle data, right? Political data, economic data, social data, technology. So all of those external data sets, amalgamating those external data sets into our internal data sets, and being able to do that analytics is what we intend to go to the, to move to the next level, is what we are trying to do after, as the next level of our maturity. So
Okay.
yeah, so apart from that, I would like to say we are investing a lot in terms of data literacy initiatives, and probably I can speak about that afterwards. But I think that's another pillar that where we see, a lot of our focus in, things like how do you basically ensure that data is easily accessible to the users, right? So those are things, our data maturity and data catalog, etc. So those are things that we are again looking at very seriously in our organization.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashish. You actually covered one of the key questions that we wanted to understand about your journey from a data and analytics perspective and where your organization is. And it looks like you got all the foundational pillars pat down. So wonderful to hear about that journey. Now moving over to Pankaj Agarwal from Tata AIG. And he's the Deputy Vice President, having more than 20 plus years, again, in the BFSI industry. Pankaj, if you could share a little bit about yourself and your organization's, journey in the data and analytics space.
Yeah, hi, I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah. I am joined Tata AIG in 2003, and prior to Tata AIG, I was working for AIG, which is the parent company of Tata AIG, for again in the overseas software implementation and monitoring part. When I joined in Tata AG, I am one of the very few people who work across to manage the enterprises applications. I was managing very large portfolio for application development and support in various verticals. Being a part of GI, maybe you are aware that a lot of verticals are there: health, motor, claim. So I was managing, across cutting all the verticals. And over the period now, as of now, I am managing the, as a part of industry recognized the data office part and the data governance team. And one of the, attached with the CFO team also. And as, one of the team members said, we were also having the same kind of issues, department-wise data was there, the huge issue for the data reconciliation, and a lot of issues was there. But we started a journey almost a few years before. Now we have an enterprises data management system where we have got the data from all across the applications. And then we put into the very structured manner. And from there, we have created a semantic layer based on the use case required by the various departments. And then from there, we have decided from using those semantics layer, we will give the required cuts or maybe the dashboard, whatever is there. We'll use the same semantic layer for organization wide, for data extraction, maybe dashboarding, maybe data analytics, whatever is there. So that's the whole journey isn't going on. And, we are in very, very matured state and more interact with my, counterparts in the operation, claim, all these things. Very exciting journey is going on. And that's the whole I can share at the time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. So it's very interesting when I listen to the journey across TCS, Tata AIG, and Tata Communications, that all your organizations, of course, you're large organizations, so you started your data journey quite a few years back and been investing in it. Did the pandemic actually accelerate any of the investments, or did you realize that you needed to you had to think about few other things? Like, for instance, I've heard organizations recognizing that access to data and insights cannot be only to the management teams or to the mid-level management, but it needs to go to all levels of the organization. So things like that in terms of access, coverage, governance, literacy. Did you have to rethink some of your strategies and your investment cadence because of the pandemic itself? Why don't I get started this time with Pankaj?
See, during pandemic, I can say that the demand has increased drastically. Earlier there were demand of the something, maybe people are willing to wait, let's say for one day or some time. Mm-hmm. Now after pandemic, there's a huge demand is there. Everybody is looking at data on the real-time basis. And it's almost more than I can't say maybe more than 100% times. A huge demand is there, and definitely we have put a lot of access control. Data should not be get leaked. Everything we are covered, but and there's the company is also supporting us. We have very good support from the senior management from this part, to investment and enabling everybody to require whatever the dashboard or reports. We are getting a full support from our senior management. So definitely
Okay.
demand is increased.
So, okay. And so you said demand has increased, but also demand has increased for more real-time data and insights.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. What about you, Ashish? Did you see anything shift in terms of demand or acceleration of investments during the pandemic or because of the pandemic?
Yeah, we did see a shift in customer demanding demands. I can give some real examples. But what we saw was that it was a shift both within the organization, and also there were external factors. So the demand for real-time data is definitely there, because if I take three examples, so our digital transformation, the digital platform that we are building. So this whole lead to order and order to cash process is a time intensive process. In order to execute that process through a digital process, we had to automate several manual processes, like automation of feasibility, right? If you want to provide network to a customer site, checking the feasibility of that site for network provisioning is a very tedious and important process, a critical process. So it used to be a very manual process, and that process was digitized to be executed within few hours. But in order to do that, the data needs to be available in real time within data is not available within the within the master data management platform, the digital process will fail. And in order to have the inventory available real time available in the master data management platform, processes need to be rebuilt, right? You can't have materialized views or ETL pipelines sourcing the data, right? You probably need to have a data integration tool, or you need to have APIs, right, through which you can in real time access the data from source platform. If a customer legal entity changes, it needs to be immediately replicated within the real time in the master data management platform, and that needs to be easily accessible by the digital platform on which a customer order is getting processed. So this whole thing required a lot of technology change, right? Initially we used to have ETL processes, right, which used to take a lot of time. So there was a lot of focus in that direction. Secondly, what we saw was that customers, so a lot of times we have our customer service managers servicing the customers, right? So the customer want a lot of reporting around the services that Datacom is providing them. So their demands were shifting. They don't want somebody downloading the reports through the dashboards or providing through an email or all of that, right? So what they said, what more and more demand that we are getting from customer in their RFPs is that they want a dashboard available to them where they can create their own reports on the services that Datacom is providing them, and be able to download those reports themselves whenever they want. So they want a real-time access to self-service portal. So it's like extending self-service not for your internal business teams but also to your external customers, right? So that was a paradigm shift. And then thirdly, real-time data, it comes with a cost, right? So it is important to basically really differentiate whether you need to serve a real-time data requirement, or can it be served through something like twice in a day or thrice in a day data availability. And so we implemented frameworks around that to really evaluate from a cost management perspective, whether it makes sense to implement solutions for real-time data availability or not. To your second question on data literacy, definitely, uh, data literacy is a huge focus, and this is really becoming important because of the pandemic, because the way the shift what we saw was the data is stored within the data platforms, right? And mostly business users are non-technical folks, so but they're not able to access the data. So you have a lot of data in Salesforce, for example, right? But they want to access that data. So there was a lot of demand in terms of making some sort of a workbench available to them so that they can access the data in real time whenever they want, and also have some cataloging capability to show how the data is flowing between the platforms, what transformations are happening in the data pipeline, and some basic profiling, etc., where data catalog is something that we implemented, which is helping us. But apart from that, we had to focus a lot in terms, and we are focusing a lot in terms of user maturity. So conducting a lot of trainings, a lot of times, these technologies you implement, but if they don't get used by the business users, right, because they are very focused in doing an analytics in a certain way, and they're very comfortable. Now, if someone like, some IT guy comes and says that, here I've implemented a new tool that can help you do analytics, that the adoption becomes a big challenge. So that's where, how do you bring about that cultural shift where you empower them, so that you don't create dashboards for them, you let them create that dashboards and figure out that how it is giving them added value. So that whole piece of user maturity is very, very critical, and that we saw was accelerated during the pandemic because the people were distributed. You don't have face-to-face communication.
Yeah.
So how do you bring about that change? That cultural change is extremely important. And that's where we saw a lot of focus in the last 1.5 years.
Wonderful. In fact, you hit upon some very key points. If I were to tie it back to where Click's journey is and what CK was talking, it looks like, Tata Communications accelerated your augmented analytics and demand, or your customers, internal and external, are pushing you more towards active intelligence for real-time insights. And all the pillars that are required to support that around data literacy, around data-driven culture, and also not a one-size-fits-all of making sure that everyone gets access to real-time data, regardless of whether they truly need real-time data or it can be a little more of a tempered approach. Great insights. Subhashish, speaking of demand being accelerated, I'm very sure you're in a very unique position. Your organization is in a very unique position because you're seeing these demands from your customers and their customers and internally as well. And they see what the demand is, and that's actually adding more pressure to your organization to support internal demand. What did you see accelerating, especially among the sophisticated users that you already are dealing with? You're on mute. This has become a common phrase during the pandemic. You're on mute.
I'll just refer those points which CK just mentioned, that about the data. Just these are find it, see it, understand it, and action it, right? And on the top of that, I will add one more thing: secure it, right? So right. So it is not only kind of find it, understand it, see it, action it, but we have to secure it, right? And things are that first is just find it. So as I told you that we are having more than 300 applications over here for different purposes over here. And when I talk about analytics, you need some part of data from all these systems. So we need to first find it, and we need to understand it, that this is transactional data, and what part of it will be required for the kind of analytics which will add business value to the organization, which will your top management, senior management will find it very valuable when they actually need those information, right? So that was the major part of us. First to understand the data and find it out, right? And then make it free. So how we are freeing that particular data, that is quite important over there. So while we'll be doing all these things, one particular part is very important, to ensure the single source of truth, right? So I have to make one enterprise data warehouse, and if I have to make some enterprise data warehouse, I have to make something enterprise data model, right? So that data model should cover up all your different components of the business which are in place, right? So that we first did it, right? We tried to make it, and it is not one-time activity. So if I make some enterprise data model, because your transaction systems are constantly changing, so you have to keep your enterprise data model constantly in sync with your transactional system, and then being physicalize it based on this enterprise data model as a part of the EDW, and then ensure that there's a single source of truth, and then secure it. So if I tell all these things, so it will surely resonate to those statements that find it, see it, understand it, action it, and then secure it, right? And to make the right data available to right person on right time. So now if I think about all our corporate business, so they need entire data. But when I'm talking about a particular business unit, right, say for example BFSI or manufacturing, so if I need to make this data available to them in a curated, transformed, and in a proper clean form, so I need to ensure that they should not be able to see the data apart from that what they are supposed to see. They should not be see the data from the other business units, right? So that we have to ensure it. So that is the different kind of mechanisms we are applying to secure that particular data. And See, it is, in an organization like TCS, it is not possible that I'll do everything for you. So I have to make you matured. I have to make you data, literate. I have to enable you to define kind of tools and technologies, and I have to make the right data available at the right time so that you can use it with the necessary tools and technologies, so that you can, you can generate your own analytics. You can generate your own, insights over that, which can always, all the time, help you, doing your business. That actually we try to do it, and you know very well that we have been working together, that, and then on the top of all these things, we are having this specific click analytics, and which is helping people enormously. To, it is not only this particular click dashboard at a whole, because we are using now in printing, we are using different parts of, we are now working with the click insights, chat, everything over there, so that we try to make it very simple, but at the same time, very critical, very valuable for the organizations. And that is all of our endeavors. So, but, fortunately, our top management or senior management, we are having the proper executive sponsorship, and they are very much guiding us all the time that, what we should do, what is their expectation, right? So that is the way actually we are, doing our, journey all the time over here, right? And in an organization, so see, some part of it, so as we are continuously growing, right? So as I am continuously telling, I have to always keep my systems, if I have to always keep everything, what should I say, scalable, resilient, etc., etc. So for some part of it, we have to move to cloud. And whenever we are moving to cloud, it is becoming, people are, becoming a little bit scared that, is our data secured as you are in a cloud platform? So that is again creating another challenges over. And you have to, some part of your systems are on-prem, on your premises, on-prem systems, and some part of in cloud. So keep them always in sync, etc., etc. That is becoming very challenging. But why it had been accelerated like anything when the pandemic situation started, right? As Ashish was telling, that you are not working together, right? So many people are working from the different parts of the country or different parts of the world. But what was happening at that point in time, it was becoming more important that, you have enough data, at the right platform on time. So I can give you two very quick examples. Like, we have started this working from home, and we have started this our SBWS journey, right? We have to take all our workforce that secured, borderless workforce system, so that we have to start very quickly. And within a very short time, we have to keep everybody, productive over there. So that point in time, with our robust data, etc., and with our, real-time analytics, it helped our management like anything. That they are very able to track the the activity of everybody. That whether they are properly productive or not, they're operational or not, they are having any kind of problem towards the network connectivity, towards connecting with their peers. Everything was was possible with these SBWS mode of operation, and where we have done some real-time analytics on very fast over there. So that was like in few days we have enabled all these things. And I just give you another example over here that TCS is having a huge vaccination drive. So it is not only for TCS, it's doing it for its employees, their dependents, their support staff, everybody, but we are managing it for all other Tata companies. I believe Ashish and Pankaj, everybody will be knowing that TCS is driving for all the Tata companies, and the number is huge. Now, if you need to do this particular part, it is not only the registration of all the employees or the scheduling, but at any point in time, you need to understand who all are vaccinated, right? It is a part vaccination, fully vaccination, so, and accordingly you need to make the necessary plans. So if I need to understand that some 200 employees are in Kolkata or 5,000 employees in Mumbai, so you need to understand that not only that whether they are vaccinated, but if they are not vaccinated, I have to make the necessary arrangement for them. After discussing the different hospitals or CVCs too. So that helped us a lot, because all these analytics and all these real-time analytics, etc. Because all the data, it was at the fingertip, because we are providing the necessary analytics. And as I told you, these are just two examples over here that why we had to accelerate it like anything. But so if I take all these examples, so that data, nothing else and but data, right? So that was becoming so important. And I should thank to Click also, that it is our first part of us to make the data available in the proper platform on time. But it was, because of Click, we managed to develop many analytics very fast, right? To do that particular part, another thing we had to do, to make our, we had to spend some money to train our, all the developers, right? So we have to spend some, because it is not only the fact that I am enabling or making all the tools and technologies available, people need to learn it, how to use it. So where we had to, make huge investment to educate our people in all these tools and technologies. So that we had to do. So that is the way, but, in the last 1.5 years, we had to do it, rigorously, so that, we can make all these things happen. But though we have to work very hard, but probably we'll be getting the right benefits. But if the pandemic situations are getting over all these technologies, tools, and everything over here, so that we'll be able to use it very efficiently for other activities as well. So that is the way I can answer your query.
Oh, thank you, Subhashish. That was very enlightening, and all of you have been a wonderful panel, because there were top points I wanted to raise around data literacy, around cloud, but you've already been doing a ton of this within your organizations. But I still want to drill down on cloud, right? With all of the acceleration that you saw within your organizations, the demand, both internal and external, have you embarked on your cloud journey? Subhashish, you mentioned this, and that there is some concern around cloud. There is some inherent fear about privacy and security when it comes to cloud. But do you look at cloud transformation or adoption of cloud as critical to continue this acceleration for digital transformation? Why don't we get, yeah.
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Are you asking me, or should I answer?
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is quite important right now. So the cloud adoption is actually, we are very much focused, right? So it is not only we are make our services for our internal IT cloud compliant, but we are helping all the big companies across globe to make them cloud compliant, right? So see, it is quite important. Why we are telling ourselves, or whether we are telling it our customers, it is becoming the important part over here. If we are in the cloud, I can give you some specific situations. Last year, when apart from this pandemic, we had some kind of natural calamity in Kolkata, in Mumbai, in different parts of the world. So if you are in cloud, you can always know that it is very much scalable. It is very much resilient over there, right? And if I think about the different kind of cloud platforms, right? So they are having proper, DR sites within, because one particular cloud setup if it's in central India, another part is in South India. So, if you can get good benefit out of it. So if I move to cloud, so two things we have to, as you correctly mentioned, we have to always ensure that the data is completely, properly secured over there. And second particular part is that it is not possible for any companies to move every part of their systems to cloud overnight, right? So we need to first understand that we need to, keep a complete, balances over there, that what part we should first move it to cloud, and that is the way keep moving that particular part to cloud, right? So for example, if I move my entire analytics to cloud, where all my transactional systems on-prem, so it can be a little bit difficult, but that is the way we are doing the way in such a way that we are parallelly moving our transactional systems and our, some part of an analytics platform, trying to do it together in the cloud. But this cloud adoption is becoming very important over here. And, we are putting our constant focus over there, that so that we can get the good benefit of the cloud environment in the times of crisis, and when, it is more and more, we are focusing, increasing the number of users, and in different kind of aspects over there. So that particular part, we are having a constant focus for this particular cloud journey and cloud adoption. But as I'm telling you, we are doing it in stages, because I cannot just take one part in the cloud, keeping the other important part into the on-prem, right? So that is the reason we are doing it very carefully. We are doing it very religiously, so that at the end of the day, I can understand that my major part is in cloud and we are safe and secured. And even in the time of crisis or some challenging situations like this pandemic and all. Yeah.
So I'm going to switch to Pankaj. When it comes to cloud, insurance, and especially insurance, technology adoption is not the same as some of the other industries. In terms of cloud adoption itself and reimagining processes, because you did talk about how some of the processes had to get accelerated and so on. Do you see cloud as an important step, and where are you on that journey?
See, in my opinion, cloud technology is very, very important nowadays because anytime, it gives us the immense power for data acceleration. You can keep the decide in the cloud. You want to keep the data in a hot place, a cold, or when you want to you spin off your servers, spin on. It depends on the demand, and that somehow is not possible in the in-prem hardware when you have in-prem hardware, and you can scale up anytime the hardware requirement also. Okay, but we have some use cases, and whenever the right time will come, and definitely we will embark for cloud. As of now, everything, we have some applications on cloud, but
Yeah.
not on the analytics part.
Yeah, no, I understand that financial services and insurance has a little more regulations that you'll have to address as well.
Yeah, currently very stringent rules are there. So we have use cases, but we are very excited whenever the right time, and we'll meet all the kind of thing. Definitely we'll embark our journey for cloud.
Okay, wonderful. Ashish, I'm going to pivot to a different question because I know that, TCL is already, you yourself are enabling, cloud transformation for organizations. So that's a piece of cake for your organization and you're already on that. But where do you see the role of AI, machine learning, and real-time analytics? Because there's a lot of talk about this in the industry. Do you look at AI ML as critical for your future? And is it a separate initiative, or is it something that you'll have to think about in continuation with your analytics journey?
Yeah, thanks, Purnima. I think a very good question. I think so. When I talk of AI and ML journey, so it's from a maturity standpoint, it is mostly departmentalized. So it has been departmentalized because sales, for example, they have their own analytics. They basically do a certain their analytics in a certain way. Service assurance business or the teams, they have a lot of use cases from AI and ML standpoint. So that way, a lot of businesses have been doing their all AI and ML analytics. However, in the last 4 to 6 months, there has been a lot of focus in terms of bringing all these initiatives and consolidating them at enterprise level. So, it could be done through a centralized COE, which is what we are trying to build, and which we are calling as an AI and ML center of excellence. Because the way AI and ML would work is it has to work with the different business units. The funding and the requirements or the use cases come from the business units. So we see there is a lot of focus on building AI and machine learning use cases and all these implementations across Tatacom. And in fact, Tata Communications as such is is quite ahead in this journey. So for example, there are connected buildings, and if you look at various places like Pune, Maharashtra, etc., Tatacom has provided those kind of IoT services and all of that, which are used for building connected buildings and all of those things that you see. And so all of that is there. However, at enterprise level, there is still a lot of lot of journey that needs to be traversed in terms of bringing all of that together, so that the best practices can be shared, and this could all be centralized. So we are as of now in process of doing that. So the fact is that a lot of these initiatives are still business owned and business unit funded and managed at this point in time, and we are on our journey in terms of getting all of this together at an enterprise level at this point in time.
Yeah, so you take the same journey that you took to data, where it was initially departmental, but now looking at how you can make it more enterprise adopted.
Yeah, correct. So some business units are very advanced in it, because IoT itself, for example, is a different line of business which provides IoT services, and that's purely into this business. Service assurance is quite advanced because a lot of use cases are in customer service management, right? So you have service assurance bots and all of that. Sales is using analytics in a different, they need a lot of competition information, for example, a lot of market segmentation and all of that. So they need a lot of external data in order to do their analytics. On the other hand, if internal processes like, as I said, feasibility, if you look at network feasibility, pricing engines, so those are more internal processes. Those are more gravitated towards the automation side of things. So, but all of that is getting, there is a huge focus, we look at it from 4 angles, as we call it: people, process, data, and technology, right? So any initiative, what data you need, what are the various practices from data standpoint, what technology will enable that initiative, then what people skills you will need to do, and what kind of processes you need to build. So all of that is now getting a lot of focus, is I would say. But again, as I said, we are still still a lot of ground to be covered in that direction.
Wonderful. All of you have been like an amazing panel, and we are nearing the end of the discussion. Just as a summary, I'm going to go to each one of you. If there was one thing that you would want the audience to take away in terms of a learning and advice on for organizations that are midstream in their data and analytics journey, what would that be? I'll start with Pankaj.
I think data is very, very important in current pandemic scenarios and going forward also. I think every organization need to invest and enable everybody for the data access, and in whatever form is there, the real time or maybe T-1. And it's very, very important. Data literacy should be, should be taken care, and the right time, right manner, and with the right processes. That is my take is there.
Thanks, Pankaj. Subhashish?
No, so I also do agree with Pankaj, but additionally, so data is always be the very topmost important part over here, and mostly on the real-time basis. Apart from that, data literacy is also becoming a very important point. So it is not only that you'll be making the data available over there. You need to educate your people how to use it, right? And finally, I should say that obviously the visual part is a very important part, but at the same point in time, in today's date, you also need to learn how to secure it, right? Because as you say that, if we see all the different kind of compliances, global data protection regulations, and there are 1,000 other compliances over there, right? Every time you need to know how to protect it, how to keep it secure, so that, you are safe and secure. Your, business critical information is not leaked, everything, right? So that is most important. So first is your data part, data literacy part. You have to educate your people how to use it, and, that you have to know how to keep it secure all the time. So these are the 3 things I should say that is very, very important.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Ashish?
Yeah, I would just 2-3 things I would say. I think one is always start with a target operating model. Always have first, what is the end state you want to reach to, and then you can always break it down into initiatives and show how you will reach there. So I think having that target picture in mind is extremely critical. Second is, I would say that see, everything is dependent upon having right data quality. So while we all focus on investments in analytics and data integration pipelines and all of that, having tools for data quality measurement and having processes in place to manage data quality is extremely important. And the third thing I would say is focus on user maturity and adoption, because a lot of times we build things, but unless people really use them, unless people derive value out of them, these will all become initiatives and die down. So I think these 3 things are extremely important, which we've found quite relevant in our journey till now.
That's wonderful. I think collectively, all of you gave an amazing framework for the audience, which starts with, I'll take what Ashish said. make sure you know what your end goal is, what your target goals and KPIs are that you're trying to do, have a measurable framework. And then going to what Subhashish and Pankaj said, the pillars of investment that you need in data and sponsorship and commitment to data as an asset within the organization. Then focus on data quality and measurement around data quality. Data security is extremely important. Adoption and data literacy, that's the foundation for everything. If you need to meet your measurable goals, then you need to make sure that people are addressed right front and center, besides all of the technology investments, and the investments that you're doing in infrastructure itself. And then you can actually get get analytics and insights in real time in the hands of users when they need it and where they need it itself. So that's an amazing framework for the audience to take away. You've been a great panel, and it's been a very enriching discussion. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Purnima. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
CK. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, speakers, for such a prolific and insightful session. It was a pleasure hearing from all of you on this important topic. Hope to see you soon in one of our next sessions. Have a good evening and stay safe.